everyone, and welcome to Automation Fair. We're coming to you from Chicago, Illinois. I'm Meha Jha. I am the Customer Sustainability Marketing Manager for Rockwell, and I'm here with Tom O'Reilly, who's our Vice President of Sustainability for Rockwell, and Pete Morell, who's our Director of Process and Sustainability OEMs for Rockwell. So I bet you can guess from our titles what we're going to be talking about today is around sustainability. So I'd love if you could chat us and tell us, what is your company doing around sustainability? What are your challenges, trends you're seeing? What are you wanting to learn, know about, technologies you're exploring? We'd love to hear from you in the chat, and we'll be checking that later and responding to that. So with that, let me turn to Tom first. So Tom, I think we had this conversation a couple weeks ago where this is maybe your 30th, 31st Automation Fair. You've been to every single one.
Yes, it is.
Which is impressive. And so what I wanted to ask you is, as you've seen kind of the manufacturing industry evolve with all these trends around automation, how are you seeing our customers respond to sustainability? What's kind of different about this that's in the air today?
So I'd say one thing is that Rockwell has had efforts around sustainability for a number of years. It's been in our tagline since I think 15 years. We're talking about driving customer productivity and sustainability, and we've had energy saving programs with drives for 25 years. We've had other solutions looking at efficiencies of processes. So there has been a continuous, I'd say, focus on it, but it's become much more direct, higher level, and important in the past maybe 5 to 7 years, and even in the most recent past. And that's been driven by a number of factors. We have the reporting requirements that are coming from the SEC and the European regulators. We have the investor community rating companies on their ESG scores. So it's become much more of a C-suite issue. So, and that's why we basically launched a more intentional, broader, higher level sustainability initiative 2 years ago. And actually at this show, obviously we have a beautiful sustainability booth that you did a great job on.
Thank you.
Showcasing the new offerings and our strategy, and it's got tremendous traffic. So, and we were a topic at the Rock 100 with our executive customers. We're top of mind relative to companies' top management in terms of addressing sustainability together with productivity.
Yeah, thanks. And for me, when I just joined the automation space out of school probably about 8 years ago, and I feel like that's when we started talking about digital transformation. That became kind of the big thing. And now we're taking digital transformation as an enabler for sustainability and really around the data side. So now we have almost combined and have more of an outcome focus with really where we're trying to take digital transformation. So with that, I want to go to Pete, because Pete focuses on a lot of the emerging stuff that we're seeing and really new to industry with some of these innovations. Can you tell us more about, on the process side, with the OEMs that you've been working with, what you're seeing, what the trends are?
So we see a lot of customers, end user customers, saying things like, I'll be carbon neutral by 2050. And what that's starting to really create in our OEM community is a lot of our existing OEMs saying, I'm going to get into some of this space. And the spaces they're really getting into are things like hydrogen generation, carbon capture, recycling, industrial water. But along with that, we're seeing a lot of new startups. And these startups come along and they have some great ideas, but they're not maybe as versed in automation. And so they rely on our GOTC team to help them figure out the right architecture. Because when you look at these things, you're looking at not only the process control, but the safety requirements. And we help them put together architectures, help them understand how to properly use our control systems so that they can be successful. Because many times at the end of the day, the end user will commit to how many tons of hydrogen, example, to a given customer. We have to make sure that this equipment starts up, runs, and is easy to maintain. And a lot of times this is accomplished by maybe adopting Plant PAX, so I have a consistent overall architecture amongst a bunch of skids that are in the hydrogen plant, so I can reduce my maintenance costs, I can reduce my life cycle management. And so those are some of the things we're seeing. And then we're also seeing in these plants, there's always a shortage of workers. So there's a minimal amount of workers in these plants. So the concept we have of a connected worker, or maybe we have a central location with a bunch of people that really understand the process, that through communication to the plant, we'll talk to a worker there. And this is where our cybersecurity solutions and stuff come in to make sure everything is safe and secure remote access.
And I love what you said, Pete, because we are mainly focused on talking right now about the environmental side of ESG. And you brought up cybersecurity, which falls on the governance, but there's also the safety aspect, especially with dealing with hydrogen. There's a lot of safety requirements that have come through from our customers and OEMs needing that. And so, we are talking a lot around the environmental side, but there's also the S and the G as well, that, the triple threat of finding those opportunities for our customers. Yeah.
I mean, we have to make sure that these plants are safe for the workers, right? And so we have to protect them as much as we can. That's why we want to leverage our safety products and our cyber security solutions.
And one of the things, so that's kind of common between you both, so you have a lot of experience with our discrete customers, our hybrid and process, and you mainly focus on process, but for the OEM side, we're also seeing data become important for them. So, with our end users, we talk about data, the reporting they're needing, but because they're OEMs to our end users, the data and productivity piece of OEMs starting to look at their own energy management on machines or consumptions, and how do we, beyond just, how do we not just innovate, but how do we also look at our sustainable footprint, whether it's our technology or us as a supplier as well. So that's kind of a trend I've been seeing.
Let me talk a little bit about that. I think that's really important because where we're at right now in terms of climate change, the new reporting requirements, all the focus on the reduction of carbon emissions, and the fact that people are making their commitments for net zero goals, okay, they have to really look at their manufacturing operations and really understand where are they using energy, where are they using water, at a very data-driven level. It's got to be data-driven because it can't be estimates. And I think that's where we can play a key role. Our automation architecture has much of that data. And some of the developments that we're doing to enhance the ability to get that data and then serve it up in really easy to use software platforms so that people can then subsequently manage and optimize it.
Yeah.
So, it's all about the actual data in our manufacturing processes and helping our customers get it through the OEMs. Yep. Okay, and we're helping the OEMs enable their machines to do that, and then through the overall processes and our both hardware, technology, and software solutions.
Yeah, and it's a really great point, Tom, because a lot of our customers are coming to us saying, how do I leverage as much of the existing infrastructure that I have? And because sustainability needs to be addressed now, even though the goals may be, 2030, 2050, how do I take action today and leverage what I already have is one of the big keys that we really try to emphasize and are trying to educate around. The data is often there, it's just a matter of how do you extract it.
I think that if customers are here who are watching this, please come to our sustainability booth, okay? And you'll see we're showing ways you can leverage your existing automation architecture and do new things to achieve that. And I think that's really important that we a really important approach that we have.
Yeah, and Pete, I did want to just follow up because on the OEM side, you mentioned hydrogen a lot, but can you maybe talk a little bit about carbon capture, some of the sustainable packaging? There's just a lot going on in your space with these innovations, and I know we shared a lot of stories here already at Automation Fair, but some for people at home that weren't able to make it.
So I mean, when you get into the carbon capture, that's more of a newer area. So we have companies that are, taking CO2 off blast furnaces, using a biochemical reaction to come up with ethanol fuels, right? And we have several different OEMs doing that. We have some that are just filtering the CO2 out of the air, like in the Permian Basin, and putting the carbon back into an abandoned oil well. So we're starting to see a lot of these companies come in, but a lot of it's around measurement too. And just to go what Tom said about the data and all that, as we do all these things, we have to measure the value that we bring back so that we can properly report what we're doing around carbon capture.
Yeah, it's been really cool, really exciting, especially to see the emerging innovation space and just the scale and the production and how fast. And I think one of the things, I remember a story from a customer around sustainable packaging that I didn't even realize, with the agility and the flexibility to displace plastics. We talk about it from a material standpoint, and we'll talk about it from, getting something recyclable, all of that, but from an automation standpoint, to displace all the plastic, the machining, the speed and the robots and things that I didn't even realize leveraging. Do you have any comments around that?
Well, I mean, in the packaging world, right? I mean, it's been a plastic world forever, right? And we're seeing people transition to fiber and fiber-based products, right? And reduced glue. And then even inks and stuff that they use are more, environmentally friendly. And so that's the big trend now. We have a lot of OEMs moving down that space. But the key thing is how can I maintain the speeds, changing product and stuff like that I could in plastic. So there's a lot of challenges in that market, but we're seeing a lot of OEMs overcome that challenge.
Yeah.
I just want to add one thing.
Sure.
As we see a lot of the packaging OEMs look at either eco-friendly materials, using recycled content, or at waste reduction, that does cause mechanical design changes.
Sure.
And actually, our integrated cart technology, iTrack, really helps us help the machinery builders do that.
Yeah.
So it's actually a key differentiator for us, which is really good. And also we found through that too is the energy savings that iTrack provides is also tremendous.
Yes.
We've seen cases where it's 30 to 40%.
Yep.
So you're able to use much better materials and also save a lot of energy in the process. So it's a win-win.
And I remember, the case study that you're referring to, it was an EV battery maker in Asia, 30% energy savings using iCart. I remember that case study. And so I know we dropped a lot around the innovation piece today. We talked a lot about different technologies. So if you have any questions, please chat us. We will be checking that. Please, if you are at Automation Fair, join us at our sustainability booth. And with that saying, I was thinking about in 30 years, what would I say for Automation Fair? And I realized I did the math. I'd be able to say we would have reached net zero because it'll be 2050 by then for me. So yeah, so that's my goal is that each year we're getting closer to 2050, and that ties in perfectly with our next live stream, which will be talking about creators wanted. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Meha.